Hey there, my fellow designers and creatives. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another video in this Rive tutorial series. In this video, we're going to go ahead and create layers for our timeline, which is essentially going to let us stack animations because the progress bar is going to happen on its own, and simultaneously we want the dots and the stars also to animate, right? So we need something called as layers, and of course I'm going to talk about that in this video. And also we want to trigger the stars and the dots depending on the score. So if I were to give you a quick example, if I go ahead and set this to 300 and play the animation, you can see nothing happens. If I set this to 650, then we trigger the first milestone, and the moment the progress bar hits there, we trigger the animation. If I set this to 880, a random number which is greater than 780, then we cross the second milestone. So we go there, we cross the second milestone, we trigger the star. And then finally, if I do 1000, we trigger all the 3 stars and dots, which is the third milestone. So let's go, there we go, there we go, and there we go, right? Amazing. So this is basically what we're going to be creating. So without any further ado, let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and set up conditions so that we can trigger the dots and the stars at the right point in time. Now a refresher on the logic. Let's go back to Figma quickly. So here in Figma, we basically have our logic set up. So if I remove the side panels. So here, the first dot and the first star trigger only if the value is around 600 or more. So if it needs to be 600 or more for the first one to trigger. So the score needs to be equal to or greater than 600. The second one will only trigger if it is 700 or above 700. And the third one will only trigger if the value is 1000, right? So we basically need the same logic. So if anything, it's less than 6000, we don't trigger the star animation. So back to Rive. Now if I open up the Animate tab and we have the state machine over here, let's do a quick play. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. You can see everything just suddenly plays as it is. All right. And quickly, I'm going to go ahead and group all of this together. So star 1, star 2, star 3, command group, and then I'm going to say stars. Okay. Now, this is what we have. If you see over here, we need to define when the star animates, and obviously we need to add that in the state machine. Now, the thing is, I don't really have any items over here. Like, what sort of timeline should I add? So, because essentially I need to add a timeline over here, but I don't really have a timeline for this because this is from a totally different artboard and the timelines are there in the different artboard. So what we need to do is we need to tell this artboard in this timeline and state machine that, hey, there is an animation that's there in another artboard. Can you control that? I need you to let me control that. So how do we do that? This is a little complicated, and there's no other way to explain this because this is just how it works. So you just have to follow the instructions here. So if I click on the first star, if I go to the animations tab, you see here, then I click on settings, I see something over here. I see animations option, I see animation, and I have state machine. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select this and delete it. And what we will do is here, I have two things. I have the state machine, or I can choose the exact timeline that we had created. So if I go to star quickly, you see that I had this timeline called as star bounce animation. It's a timeline, right? It's a simple animation. It's a regular animation. And it's linked to a state machine, but we don't want to use the state machine. We just want to use this. So come back to the main animation here, click on the star. And in the animations, I'm going to choose this one called as simple. Now we have an option called remap. I'm not going to explain what that is because it is only going to get complicated. And if you've used After Effects, you will know that there's an option called as time remapping. But if you don't know, it's totally fine. Just choose the first one, which is simple because, keep things simple. And now if we click on the settings, now I have a couple of options. I have something called as mix. I have something called as speed. So even though this was at a certain speed, I can make this slower or faster in this particular artboard. So if, for example, here it was 1 second in the star artboard, the duration was 1 second. Here I can change it to make it faster than 1 second or slower than 1 second, right? And also I have this option called as playing, which means that I can set keyframes for this and basically trigger when this basically is playing. All right. So until this checkbox is turned on, it is not going to play the animation. If I turn it off, then it's not playing. If I play the animation, if I check this on, then it's playing. And this is the property that we want to control to tell the primary artboard, hey, there's an animation in the other artboard which I created, basically the star artboard, I want you to let me control that. So I'm going to set this off by default. We're going to come over here, and because we need to add something over here, I'm going to click on plus and I'm going to add a timeline. All right. And here I'm going to say star 1 animation. And the reason I'm doing star 1 is because all of these are going to be animated at different times. So I want to have separate timelines. And what I will do over here is I'll click on the star, come here to settings, and here now I can add keyframes. Now I'm going to go ahead and click here and then turn on the checkbox. Now, what I'm basically doing is setting a playing state. So think of it like a pause state and a start state. So if you're listening to music on Spotify, you have the play button. So you have a button that is showing the playing state, and then you have a button that is showing the paused state, right? Now in this case, this one, I'm going to turn this on. Now we can't animate between a playing state and a non-playing state because they happen suddenly. It's either on or it's either off. It's not like you're transitioning from an on state to an off state. It's just happening right there. It's like on or off, that's it. So we don't need to set any more keyframes over here, all right? So now we have the star 1 animation. Now, let's go to the state machine. Now I can drag the star 1 animation over here. Now the problem here is if I, let's say, for example, go to the entry and drag, what is basically happening is we are creating another road, which is not supposed to happen. Because essentially, I can either go on this road from the entry point, or I can go on this road. And if I go on this road, I want this animation to happen, because when I do the milestone 1 animation, which is completely at 600, when it goes till 600, I want to do the star animation as well. But now I have to choose between doing that or the star animation. Which one do I pick? So when we want multiple things to happen at the same time, in this case, we want the progress bar also to happen, and we also want the star also to happen, and also the dot to happen at the same time. Now, the most obvious way is to create another state machine, all right? And we can do all that over here. But the problem is we can only have one state machine active at a time. So if I can only have one state machine at a time, how do I do it? Because if I put the stars over here, then I have to pick between the star state machine and the regular state machine, which is basically the progress bar. So what we will do is we will create layers for this state machine. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. If you click on the plus over here, basically I can create what we call as a layer. And this is like stacking multiple state machines together with multiple different animations. All right. So at the end of the day, we need to have only one state machine. The moment you want to stack animations, all right, that are unrelated to each other, we have to put them over here in layers. So we're going to delete this one. We don't need this one. We just need one state machine. And here, I'm going to call this star animation. So now both of these, the star animation and the progress bar animation, have their own individual logics and will follow that side by side. They will happen together. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring the star 1 animation. I'm going to drop that over here. Okay. We don't need any state or exit. We're not even going to talk about that. So I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to place this over here, and we're going to place this. So for some reason, I'm not able to select. So let's try to reload this. Okay. There we go. So now if I go ahead and just play this, you can see the animation happens on its own. And obviously we want to set a logic. Now I'm going to hide star 2 and star 3 for now, because we can just focus on star 1. Now here, and I'm actually going to hide the dots as well. Let's just focus on the star. Now, the condition is when the value of this is 600 or more, then I want you to play the star animation. Very similar to what we did over here. I progress to the milestone 1 animation if the condition here is equal to or greater than 600. And we want to apply the same condition over here. So I'm going to click on the conditions and go to final score. And I'm going to say equal to or greater than 600. So now let's try this. I'm going to pause this. Let's say the value is 400. All right. Now if I play this, you can see the star animation doesn't happen. All right. That's great. Now, if the value is, let's say, 650, then the animation happens. All right. I'm going to play that again. All right. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to come over here and I just want to reduce the opacity of this, or basically the main animation. I just want to reduce the opacity of that, or actually let me just reduce down the scale. Okay. so that I don't see it. Now if I play the animation, you can see it plays as we want. So I'm just going to set the star main over here to have so that I don't see it up front, right? Let's go back to animate mode, and obviously in the main animation. Now if I play this, you can see it plays. But here's the thing, I want this to play once it hits the 600 mark. Now there are two things. I want it to play if it is above 600, but I also want to say play it when it hits 600, all right? Because before I start the run, I already know the value. So I know that the star animation is going to play, but I don't know, but I need to define when it is supposed to play. So what we need is to say that I want you to play this after 1 second, because we know that it takes 1 second to go from here to here. So I can say star animation, why don't you play after 1 second? Now if I click on the transition, I have duration, but the duration is the transition state. We don't want that. We want to basically exit. What we had discussed before is, if I come to any of these other ones, you see we have this exit time. We want to sort of finish the previous animation, wait, because the exit time is very much as a delay. It's waiting before you play the next animation, right? Now here, I don't have an option over here to pick the delay, right? The exit time isn't available over here. So now we have two options, and it's up to you which one you want to choose. The first one is, because if you see over here, if I play the star animation, let me de-highlight. Now I'm going to play this again. Just watch this area. If I play this, you can see that it's actually animating over here, right? Which means it's actually going through this. So here what we did was we put the keyframe to play the animation. So if you see playing animation, we kept it at the beginning. Now one option is to come over here and put it to the end. And what I have to do is, just 1 frame before, I wanted to turn it off. So until here, it's not playing, and suddenly over here, it starts playing, which is at the 1 second mark. So now if I come back to the state machine, and if I play this, you can see that when it hit the 600 mark, this triggered. Now this is one way to do it, all right? Now, I don't recommend doing it this way, because you are sort of cheating the way to do things, all right? It's not wrong, but I just feel like this is not a systematic and a consistent way of doing things. So I'm going to Control Z until I come back over here, or maybe let's not Control Z. I'm going to delete the first keyframe, and at the beginning, I want to say play the animation. Now, this is how I want it to be. So we have to figure out another way where we can add that delay. So if I come to the state machine and play this, it plays immediately, all right? And the moment it lands over here, I want it to play the animation. That's the rule that I'm setting, all right? So now what we need is, if we need exit time, we need to add an intermediary state, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new timeline, and I'm going to call this star freeze state, all right? Now you can call this idle state, you can call it temporary state, you can call it whatever. I'm just calling it star freeze state, all right? It's just a blank state. And here what I will do, I'm going to bring in the star freeze state, all right? And I'm going to delete this. I'm going to go ahead and link the entry with this. And then I'm going to link the entry with this. Now we also need to set the condition. Here we didn't set a condition, we deleted that. We deleted the previous one. So I'm going to set the condition again. So here I'm going to set the condition saying that I want you to play star 1 animation if the final score is equal to or greater than 600. So now this is going to play. Now the freeze state over here, let's see what happens when I play this, all right? I'm just going to play this, and it suddenly jumps to this, okay? Now if I click on this, and now I set exit time, all right? And I set this to 100%, all right? Which means that it's going to play this freeze state, or basically frozen state, for the 100% of its duration, which is basically 1 second. So now if I come back to the state machine, and if I play this, now it plays. So if I play this again, there you go. So the moment it hit that point, it played the star animation. And if you see over here, if you pay attention to what's actually happening, this is actually 1 second. It's like a delay. It's like a frozen state. And then it transitioned to the star 1 animation. It is very similar to what we had done over here, where we had created this progress bar at 0 state, right? I could have, even if I went ahead and just deleted and had nothing over here, the animation would still work. This is sort of like this frozen state that we have. And in fact, what I can actually do is let me go ahead and change this from star free state and just call it frozen state, or just say blank state. Maybe that's a better word. So I'm going to go ahead and call this blank state. Come over here, and this blank state is not going to have anything. So in the state machine over here, I'm going to go ahead and add the blank state. All right. And here we don't want any conditions. So I'm just going to add that over here. All right. And from this blank state, I can go ahead and sync it to the blend state over here. So we don't really need this PB at 0 state. We can delete that, but I just want to make sure that I get the right values. All right. So I'm going to delete this one. And so now we can just use this blank state, and the blank state has absolutely nothing. It's just like an empty state. All right. And maybe I'm going to move this like so. Okay. And now if I play this, let's actually pause this. So if it's 300, then it's going to go in this route. All right. Now it suddenly plays. And the reason is because we didn't add a transition. So I'm going to go ahead and set the duration to 1000 milliseconds. So from the blank state to the blending state, this basically the whole blending animation, we need that to be 1000 milliseconds. All right. So now if I play this, you can see it does it. Now all I need is to grab the interpolation. So I'm just going to copy that interpolation, come over here. I'm going to paste that over here and paste. Okay. So now if I go ahead and paste this, you can see what we have. So we're going to use the blank state. So let's come back to the star animation over here. Or actually in the star animation over here, we have the blank state and the star animation, and let's play it. Now, this is perfect. Now, if I set this to 650, if I play this, there we go. The first one happens. Now, we also want the dot to happen at the same time. Now, we have two options. Either we can create another layer for the dot animation, or we can combine the star and dot animations together. All right, we could probably do both. So here, I'm going to go ahead and say star and dot one animation. I'm going to just combine both of them together in one timeline. So in the star, I'm going to make the dots visible. Okay. Hide the second dots. We just need one dot visible. All right. Okay. Looks like this is dot number 1. This is dot number 2, and this is dot number 3. Okay. So dot number 1, I'm going to keep that visible. It doesn't really matter what is happening over here. We can turn this on or off. This is just for us visually. All right. And now the star dot 1 animation, I'm going to go to the dot 1. Here, we want to delete this and add not the state machine. We want to add the dot animation simple because we want these properties. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click on the play button here to create keyframe and check this on. So now the dot animation also will play when it hits 600. Now, because all of this is combined in one timeline, if I come to the state machine, all of this will happen together. And here I can say star and dot animation. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just click outside and let's do 300. Nothing should play. All right. So if I play this, nothing should play. This is correct. So this one is blank. This is going to be yellow. That's how it's supposed to be. If I set this to 650 and if I play this, there you go. The dot and the star animation happens at the exact same time. Perfect. Now we want to add the other two. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this timeline, all right? Because we already used this one timeline for this. Now, because we are adding more timelines, because now I want to add another one for the second star and dot and the third star and dot, all right? So we want to create two more timelines. What I will do is I can go ahead and just say create timeline. And I could actually group this, but I need a paid plan, which I don't have. So, or else I would group this, all right? And I'm going to move this down. And here I'm going to just copy the name. And this is going to be star 2 animation. Here again, same thing. We're going to turn on both the stars and the dots over here. And right click delete. Choose this to star bounce simple. Same thing for the second dot. We're going to delete this and choose dot animation simple. And now here, we just want to add the keyframe. So this plays at the beginning. And the dot number 2 also plays at the beginning. Perfect. So now if I go to the state machine, I'm going to drag the second star and dot animation. And then I'm going to combine these two. Now, after the star and one dot animation is over, when should the next one happen? All right. The next one should happen after this one is complete, right? the star and dot to animation should happen only if the value is greater than 780, or else don't show, right? Obviously, when I hit the second milestone, which is 780, I want you to play this animation. So if I go down to the conditions, if I set the final score is equal to or greater than 780, then I want you to play this. So let's go ahead and play this and see how this looks. Let's do it 650. All right, there we go. Awesome. So now it's at this point and it's not progressing further because the value is not 780. Now let's say I set the value to 900. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play this again. So now the value is 900. Let's try that again. Now the second animation should also play. So let's check it out. Now you see over here that both the animations play together. And if we pay attention to what's happening over here, just focus on this area. All right. So it starts at the blank state and suddenly jumps to the star dot to animation. So here, what we basically want to say is we want to say, hey, listen, set an exit time. Once the star and dot animation is fully complete, and then go ahead and play the second animation. Don't skip this. Finish this animation, exit after completing 100% of the previous animation, and then move to the next one. Now let's check this out if it works. So I'm going to close again. We're at 900. Let's play this. So 1, 2, bam. Beautiful. All right, so let's play that again. Let's quickly see this. So 1 and 2 and moves forward. Perfect. Now we just got to repeat this one more time. So let's go to timeline. I'm going to come down to here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, paste that. We have star 3 animation. All right. So here again, I'm going to make the stars visible and the dots visible over here. Star 3, delete the state machine, add the simple animation and add the keyframe to play this at the beginning. Then the dot, delete the state machine, add the dot animation with the simple animation and play that at the beginning. So star 3 and dot 3 happen at the same time. So let's go to the state machine over here. And now let's add the third one, which is star and dot 3 and rig this up. Now, same rules apply. We want to wait for this entire previous animation to be over. So exit time, set that to 100%. So once the whole star and dot animation is done, play the star and dot 3 animation if the value is equal to 1000. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and set the condition value is equal to 1000. Now, if you see over here, the reason we're not adding a duration over here is because what's happening here is when this animation starts, the animation gets triggered because the star and dot to animation happen at the beginning. And then it takes 1 second to go from here to there. By the time it completes this, the progress bar also would have moved because the progress bar also takes 1 second to move from whichever state it is to the next state. So here, essentially, when I add the exit time but not the duration, what basically is happening here is that the star and dot animation start over here, all right? And then before I play this, I need to wait for this to complete 100%. So there is 1 second of a duration that happens over here. And then I will check the condition. If it is 1000, I will then start all over again and go over here. It's not waiting to go from this state to this state. It's just playing the entire 1 second of animation window that we have, which is why we don't need a duration over here. We just need to play this for 1 second, even though the animation is triggered at the first frame. So let me go ahead and show you if you pay close attention visually over here. So it starts with a blank state and then this happens for 1 second and then this also happens for another second. So as you can see, it waited. Now the third animation has to happen if the value is 1000. So if I go ahead and set this to 1000 now, and if I play this, you can see it plays 1 second, plays this, and then it plays this. So the animation was actually triggered at this point, all right? And at this point here for the second dot. And then it waited for 1 second, and at that time the progress bar moved from here to here, and then it played the third animation the moment it reached over here. All right, so let's play this again. So we go 1, 2, 3, bam. There we go. Beautiful, looks great. So that's how you go ahead and combine multiple animations with layers and make them run side by side. Now, in the next video, we're going to go ahead and add a button that will trigger this animation to happen because right now, as you see, It's happening automatically the moment I press play. What I want to do is I want to create a button, and when I tap on that button, I want the animation to play. And I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. And we're going to use a concept called as listeners, which we never looked at. And I'm going to explain what the difference between inputs and listeners is in the next video. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment sections down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing, awesome content. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So then take care and bye-bye.